So what we're going to talk about today are three broad topics. Very briefly, we're going to run through the current opportunity and the current business model, but that's the world of today. Where I'm really going to focus my time is that third item, addressing the customer lifecycle. As I said, we're really now trying to make these solutions widely known, widely adopted, and really become a mainstream first-class part of our overall ecosystem. And so in terms of the opportunity, the first question is, well, why do we care about these add-ins at all? Why do they matter to us? Well, when you think about it, although we have about 50 million people on the commercial Office 365 stack, that's the number that we finally have started disclosing as of the last quarterly earnings call, and we have another 12.5 million on the consumer side, that's still about 5% of our worldwide installed base of 1.2 billion users. So to get some of those folks, many of whom are on older versions of Office that does not support the cloud model, or who are on the new version but are not yet in the cloud, we have to give them a compelling reason. And one of those reasons is the incredible extensibility, the plug-and-play extensibility without a lot of custom work, although there certainly are opportunities to do that with this model. And so add-ins are a great way to move people to the cloud. And why do we think they should matter to you? Is because that's really the whole point of the rest of the deck, is to illustrate just how powerful these things are and how more powerful they're going to become. So rather than listen to me in terms of why they're important, how about we listen to what a couple of our partners are saying. Dwight Foster is at Insightly, which is a recent addition to our family. They're a leading Google Apps partner. If you go to Google Apps Marketplace, you'll see them front and center on the top of the homepage. And they make a lightweight small business CRM system. And they found when they added a third-party add-in solution, which essentially bridges their web solution with Outlook, they found a 130% increase in retention of their customers. And it makes sense if you think about it, because where does CRM data live? The kinds of things that CRM systems like to consume is email, correspondence, contact names, calendar events. Well, that's all in Outlook. And so the fact they have this bridging solution, this add-in that runs right next to Outlook and lets you just easily transfer content back and forth, is what makes the Insightly solution so sticky, because Outlook is the data engine underneath that. Another partner of ours is Dave Chenault of Skylight Systems, a small California vendor, and he's all about globalization. He really has a very small company, but he is finding that he's now able to go global with his solution. He has customers, if you read there, in Singapore, Australia, India, Europe, and he would never have been able to find those customers. They would not have been able to find him, actually, more correctly, without the store and without the ability to make these solutions visible. And so his call out to the folks in the audience here who are developers is, this is a real opportunity. Take your skills, change the world, make some apps, and hit it running. So I can't think of a better endorsement of the model. Okay. Some numbers on the opportunity. You may have seen these in other presentations this week. About 1.2 billion users, and we've had some acceleration lately because of our free iOS and Android solutions. 100 million of those, in fact, have been downloaded for iOS and Android. Free, full-fledged clients for those platforms. And it's highly immersive, 2 to 3 hours a day that the average IT or IW information worker spends in Office. And it's not just about the client, it's about meetings, it's about emails. But the number that really jumps out at me on this slide is the 470 petabytes of data. That's 470 billion megabytes of information, or roughly 5 trillion of my PowerPoint slides, which just makes me want to cry to think about watching 5 million PowerPoint presentations. But another way to think about it is, if you made an HD video in 1080p, that would be enough space to make a video that lasts 20,000 years. And so if you started back with the Chinese invention of pottery, and you just kept playing that video through the pyramids, the Roman Empire, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, Reformation, etc., all the way to man landing on the moon, that video would still be playing today. That's how big 470 petabytes is. And that's, again, with only 5% of our user base. And yes, it is doubling every year, 7 quarters in a row. But so just imagine how rich that information will be as the cloud becomes more and more pervasive. And to get to that data, this is a developer vision that you probably have seen again this week. First, we want to get Office on every platform. We're largely done with that, with the announcements of the last few weeks. And then we want to make every platform extensible. And so, as we'll see later in my presentation, that's also in progress, and we're well down the path to not only having Office everywhere, but having Office extensibility everywhere with this new cloud model. And getting to that data with one standard set of APIs, whether it's mail, file, calendar, contacts, users and groups, all using web standards like HTML5, JavaScript, CSS. So the unified endpoint, which was a big deal at both Ignite and Build last week, is there's one place to go to call all that data through a single URL endpoint. We also launched the developer program this week. And that's all about sign up and get a bunch of goodies, get a developer tenant, get some email campaign tools, get some UI controls, join our newsletter, and essentially stay engaged with us as we do all these new and rapidly changing things. And it's all available on dev.office.com. The dev program is where I'm sure some of you have seen the sign up this week. Some numbers on add-ins. The momentum is really starting to build now. 3 million monthly users as of March of this year. That's more than double in the last 6 months. SharePoint, almost 1 million users. And that's also nearly doubled in the last 6 months. Now, those baseline numbers are not huge in the context of our overall business. But the key concept here is it's growing twice as fast as Office 365 itself, which is also growing. It's doubling every year. The add-in model is doubling every 6 months. And so at some point, it will start to catch up and it'll become widespread. And some of the programs I'm going to talk about are designed to do just that. In terms of the business model, that's actually one of our solutions in the store. It's an exchange rate application. There's a couple ways to make money for developers and system integrators. It's not just about building add-ins. You also can migrate people from on-premise to the cloud. You can build line of business solutions. If they don't want to be in a multi-tenant environment like Office 365, that's just fine. You can take an on-premises solution, spin it up on a virtual machine and run it on Azure, and then tie it back to their on-premises solution, their home data center. And that way you sort of edge your way into the cloud without actually joining a multi-tenant environment. So there's many, many ways to skin the cat. Mobile devices, mobile applications as well. For core ISVs, people who build software for a living, we've had the SharePoint and Office model for some time now. What's new are these 365 solutions where you register with Azure AD. It doesn't even have to call an Office API. It could be a completely freestanding solution like Dropbox or Salesforce, for that matter. And it can just essentially be registered with Azure, which is the same ID stack that Office itself uses, Office 365. And then it can appear as a tile in your admin experience inside your Office 365 tenant. So you get one place to host all your applications, and you click on the tile, you get single sign-on. So it's really becoming essentially a repository for all your day-to-day workflow. Come on, this thing's a little sticky. As far as delivery options, we've had the store for quite some time, as I said. That's the all singing, all dancing option, where you publish it into our public store. You get licensing, you get commerce if you want it, you can get tax handling, and you get international access because we have, as we'll see in a moment, many, many storefronts now. We also had the SharePoint model for some time where if you want to negotiate a sale directly with the customer, you can have all sorts of idiosyncratic pricing, you can have setup and data migration fees, all the custom things that many developers like to do. You can then put it into the add-in catalog, and they can manage it essentially as a curated library inside that company to say, come and get it, where anyone who can see that application can get it, or you can selectively push it out to individual users in your organization. So you don't have to use the store. And if all you do is use the store for lead generation, and you close the deal outside of the store, we don't take any market or any revenue share at all. The last thing we've added this year with the release of the Azure AD model is you can also, as I just mentioned, simply have a freestanding web solution that you want to have be visible in the store. I'm sorry, in the app launcher. So you can choose one or all three channels, whatever suits your business needs. And it's the same for customers. You can acquire them through a store. If you're an admin, you don't want your employees to getting stuff randomly on their own and you want to control that experience, you can control it through either the SharePoint solution or through the tenant solution at the 365 level. Licensing, again, this model has been around for a bit. We have free, we have trial solutions, we have paid, and that can either be paid perpetual or subscription. You can have a per seat price. You can have organizational-wide price, including at the SharePoint site level or at the org level if it's a Exchange solution. And you can do all of this without any cost to publish a solution, and it's a 20% rev share. Okay. Some store facts and figures. In the 2 years we've been live, we have about 10 million downloads nearly and about 350 submissions per month. Some of those are updates or moving to a new market, but many of those are brand new solutions. And we've gotten the validation time down to 1.3 days because there is a rigorous publishing process we put them through to make sure that they don't have viruses, that they're fully touch compliant, they work in all browsers and devices, et cetera. But we've automated most of that, so it's pretty fast. Almost 1,500 solutions in the store, about 750 active developers, and we're getting some big names like DocuSign, like Insightly, and we're actually even incubating some partners ourselves, like PicHitMe is a very popular solution in the PowerPoint space, as well as our new Sway product. That is a default image insertion tool to put photos into that product. And we have about 900 of the 1,500 solutions in the store are SharePoint solutions. So I want to make clear that we're very much focused on B2B solutions. We want to have serious productivity applications. And as soon as we have the 365 store up, which will be coming in a matter of weeks, you'll see another column to the right with a whole bunch of tenant-level solutions as well. So a brief tour of the store. I'm guessing most of you have probably seen it. It's at store.office.com. It organizes products by product type as well as by category. And if I click in, I can see solutions that are just around, say, SharePoint, for example. I also can click on what type of solution it is, like content management. So let's go to, for example, education. And I go to the OneNote Class Creator. It's just a one click to the listing itself. Whoops, I didn't mean to load it. And essentially, it has information about the application, of course. It has screenshots. It has videos. And also, if you notice, and reviews. And then if you go to the bottom, you can actually change the language if for some reason you want to buy it in a foreign language version. Many of our applications are localized in many languages. Whoops, sorry. And so you can see it's also in Spanish, French. This particular application is in about 15 different languages. And it automatically detects when you go to the store where you're coming from, what kind of, where you are geographically, and also it presents the application in the right language and with the right currency. So I'm going to take us back to the home page. United States. And switch us back to 5. So that's just a very quick overview of the store publicly available. So the gist of my presentation, though, is about new stuff. What's coming? How are we improving the buying experience? How are we improving the availability and awareness of these solutions? And we're making investments across the whole customer funnel, from awareness to trial to engagement and purchase and loyalty. And so I'm going to walk you through a series of new things that we're highlighting around these various levels of the customer experience. We're trying to pull people through a very organized and orderly process. So the first thing is storytelling. And what this is a brand new site we just released, and it's Microsoft hosted. It's a place where we're filming ISV's own customers, not our customers, although they're our customers as well. They're filming our customers and their customers using this third-party solution. We're hosting it on our site. We're professionally shooting and editing them. We are then going to link these videos to various marketing services inside Microsoft. We're also going to localize them and distribute them to the field. And so the real advantage of doing this is that someone who is trying to demonstrate the value of a solution has to learn a demo, right? They have to build some sample data. And so the quality of the sale is going to be dependent on the quality and experience of the person delivering it. With a video, instead, it really tells the story in a compelling way. And so we have here one of our versions, one of our first videos that came out called on our Better with Office site. So I'm going to switch to a demo here. And this is the home page. So it's all about extending the power of 365 using third-party solutions. And so you come down here, there are various there's a featured video, and then there's additional videos down here. You can sort and segment them by different verticals or different workflows. Right now we're focusing on small and medium business. We'll be doing an EDU segmented video telling site quite soon. And so we have here a story called Chili Breeze, which is a small company that started a business in India to provide jobs in a rural part of that country. And so what you get is you get each ISV who has a story on this site gets their own dedicated video, and they get some other things too. But let's play the video first.
It's a unique company, and I love our story. Chili Breeze started 10 years ago, and my husband had the idea to go to Northeast India and start a company there to create jobs and opportunity in a predominantly tribal area, and it was harder than we ever imagined. One of the biggest obstacles was our infrastructure. IT resources are limited or not existent. We were doing graphic design work for various companies all over the world, and some of our customers wanted to know if we could polish their PowerPoints. Eventually, we were doing them overnight for multiple consulting firms in Seattle, and we noticed, hey, this is our core. Let's focus on this. Chili Breeze was growing, but our growth was at stake. And we were basically stitching together ad hoc solutions to manage our growth, to organize our company, to organize work in a professional way, and we weren't succeeding.
Chili Breeze was struggling because they had documents in Google Docs, they had sales data in Basecamp, they had Office doing a lot of production, so they had these silos of data.
When we discovered Office 365, it just stitched together everything we needed. One of the add-ins we really liked in Office Store was Sidekick 365.
They plugged it into their Office 365 infrastructure, and now it pulls in this data from Outlook, Word, PowerPoint into one repository.
I could tell that the developer knew what he was talking about. He had developed a solution that we needed.
And we knew that they had invested in SharePoint, and we knew it would ride in that and leverage their capabilities for doing email integration and Office. And we also knew they had people that were remote that had to work together. So based on the 365 infrastructure, we knew this was a good fit.
We're in a city where there's not a single Microsoft partner, and we kept wondering, how will we implement this? Sidekick 365 was easy to purchase. You just buy it in the Office Store, and then I installed my add-ins with Skylight Systems tutorial within like 30 minutes.
Since Chili Breeze is in India, we use Skype for Business to contact these people and talk to them. With the time shifts, it's very inexpensive, and they have the technology, so do we, because we have 365 and they do as well.
Office 365 has put Chili Breeze at a world-class level, really, with other companies across the world.
So there you go. That really is the message. It's better together, Office with third-party solutions. We actually have Joanna Budelman, who's one of the owners of that company, sitting in the front row. She's from the Chicagoland area. So if you want to talk to her about her experience in this process, she'll be happy to talk to you afterwards. But we really think this is going to, again, increase awareness and engagement with the products in the store. This site will also link to the store. So there you go. That's the Sidekick. It keeps wanting to get me to install it. So it also will link to the provider's site. So the partner has a chance to also tell their story. And then finally, you can do things like embed case studies. So that's essentially the storytelling site. Again, we're starting with about a half dozen small business focused solutions. We'll be moving on to an EDU space. And the goal is to create a scalable model so that many of our partners can partner with us, and we'll do something where there's some do-it-yourself, where you'll have kits and go-to-market contracts and templates and shot lists so that essentially we can start to build a large-scale number of these videos. The second investment we're making in terms of awareness is in-product discoverability. And again, there's been some actual demos of many of these things at the Ignite conference this week, so I'm just going to essentially call them out. The first thing is the store itself is going to become more visible in the product. So right here you'll see a store button on the home ribbon of Outlook. They at one point had no store functionality. You had to go deep into a tab to find the way to add an application. Now there's a store button right on the home page. That's coming with Office 15 this month and Office 16 in June. There's also new platforms. We announced last week the fact that you can insert Office third-party extensions, add-ins, into Excel for iOS, and we'll fill out the rest of the iOS products, Word and PowerPoint, in the coming months. We also now have the ability to insert applications into Office Online, which is the free browser-based solution that anybody can have access to just by logging in with a Microsoft account. And again, right now we have Excel. Word is just coming this week, and that'll also fill out the rest of the surface areas in the coming months. And finally, Outlook.com. There was a session earlier this week where you can actually build solutions that extend the consumer version of our email product, Outlook.com, 400 million users on that platform. So you add it all up. You take over 1 billion Android devices, hundreds of millions of iPhones and iPads, Outlook.com, the free version of Office Online. That's hundreds and hundreds of millions of more sockets that we think these add-ins will add value to, and so we expect this to really take off once we finish building out that whole surface area, because that is the intent. The only wrinkle we want to point out is for the developers in the room, if you do want to have play on iOS or on Office Online, you need to update your application manifest. To those to whom that means nothing, my apologies. But essentially, you just have to revamp your solution by tweaking the file that you submit when you publish the application. The other thing is we're going to make the store more prominent in Office 365 as well, as we'll do a demo in just a moment of that. You'll see a store button in the administrative interface quite soon. We're also going to start having a store button right within the app launcher itself, as you can see from the circle there. And so what that means is 50 million people every day when they log on in the morning to get to their Outlook, they get to their Yammer, their Word, their Excel, they're going to see a store button to the extent that the admin in that tenant allows that to happen. And so you'll have much more viral awareness of the add-in story and the store as a place to get them. You don't have to get them through the store, but it's certainly the easiest path for a user. The third investment we're making is global expansion. The store is now fully localized in every market where Office.com is localized. That's as of February. Just this year alone, we've opened up 29 new storefronts, mostly in Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, Indian subcontinent, and some smaller nations in Europe. So we're pretty much now have global coverage. There's a few places where you can't sell Office, like North Korea, so you're out of luck if that's a big market for you. But in general now, these add-ins can surface everywhere that Office itself can surface. And it's in 39 supported languages plus English as well. So you get local UI for the storefront itself, as we saw just a minute ago with the Class Creator Notebook, and you also get local commerce in many markets. So you're buying in pesos or real or rupee, if Office.com itself supports that. So global coverage in terms of the device, global coverage in terms of the platform, and global coverage in terms of geography for these add-ins. But it's not enough just to have a local storefront. You also want to have localized solutions in that store. And so we are partnering with a company, Lionbridge, to help our partners localize their applications. And right now it's a fee for service. We're looking at a deeper engagement where we actually provide that as part of a package of partnership arrangements. And we, though, have piloted with 2 partners, Office at Work and iGlobe CRM, to provide localization services for those solutions. So we'll do a quick demo of that. And it wasn't working a few minutes ago, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of these things are inflating, and so, oops. Let's see. So things tend to work and not work as they roll out a new deployment. So here is the app launcher. This again is where you would start your day, and this is where the store button will show up in the very near future. You go to My Apps, and this again is a preview version of Office. And there's the store button. And you can see above the line are all first-party solutions. Below the line are all the third-party solutions you can acquire. You click the store. And you go to Mail Responder. And that's what you see now is an iframe version of the Office Store, just highlighting the curated version of the 365 registered ones, the ones registered with Azure AD, and they would float to the top, and then you can then add them to your tenant. And yeah, okay, so right now it's not going to install for me. I have a video I can show at the end which will essentially walk you through the acquisition flow and show you how they used a JSON file to localize it in 11 different product categories. But I'm going to move on because it's not cooperating. But I'm going to go back to the store. You can see here, Smartsheet. This is another 365 solution. You can pin and unpin from the app launcher. Do is another 365 registered solution. So, okay. The final investment in visibility is, in terms of awareness, is the 2015 Office App Awards. And that closes actually on the 10th. So you only have a few more days to submit nominations. This is our second annual award program. We will be awarding prizes in 14 categories, and we're adding some new ones this year, like Best Office 365 Solution, Best Mobile Solution. It can run on Android or iOS. It doesn't have to be an iPhone solution. Most downloaded, and also for partners who have done a lot of offline deals through a lead that they got through the store. If they want to share those with us, we'll curate what they say, how much information they want to share. But we'll be providing awards that essentially document that the store is driving lots of leads. There will be an award ceremony at Worldwide Partner Conference in July in Orlando, and then we'll do promotion of those solutions throughout the rest of the year. So this is our second annual App Award. In terms of futures, we're not done with these heroes. We're going to have the videos will continue to grow in number. We will have embedding of add-ins into hero demos, executive briefing centers, and sales decks. We also plan to start embedding a lot more information about add-ins into things like getting started. When you first sign up for Office 365, we'll have a video there. We'll have tutorials. And also, we're going to add a machine translation system into Visual Studio. So if you want to have Visual Studio do most of the translation of your strings and your UI and your text, that will be a tool that's coming. So improving the trial experience, the second rung in the customer journey. And we have two things to show you on this score. The first one is the best practices add-in. This is a major investment we've made. There's actually several things we're going to show you here. One is the best practices add-in. There's also this new function called the Store Preview, which is something that a lot of developers have been asking for. And finally, a streamlined acquisition flow. So I'm going to go back to the store. Okay. And switch back. So here we are on the home page of the store. We have a new feature called Preview. And what Preview is all about is a developer can submit an application, an add-in into the store, and have it hidden from view. So that, for instance, if they want to see what it looks like, they want to see how the metadata plays out on the page and the colors, they also want to test it and have their friends test it, all without it being publicly visible. That's a new thing we're releasing. And all you do is you submit a little code. When you publish it through Seller Dashboard, it's in the notes field. So right now, I'm looking for this best practices solution that I was going to show you. And here it's called Contoso something or other. So I search on Contoso, and it says, sorry, no results found. That's because it's hidden behind a passkey. So I know the code is code build 15. There is the hidden application. So this has really two benefits. One is you can see how your solution will behave and look before you have to have the public get at it. And secondly, the store team is going to start publishing things like this. It's a best practices app right within the body of the store surface, so you can grab it, and it already has the associated licenses with it. So we're going to acquire this for use. Okay, come on. It's just spinning away. Okay, here we go. So here's the second innovation I wanted to show you. And that's, first we had preview. The second thing is a streamlined acquisition flow. It used to be when you acquired a SharePoint solution, you had to go to your SharePoint site and then paste in a code that corresponded to the app so that it could be loaded as a file. Now we have a SharePoint picker right within the flow of the store acquisition. So I can pick my SharePoint site where I want to install it. I click continue. Oops, and it wants me to log in for some reason. Okay. I was just logged in. Okay, so now it takes me to the acquisition page. I'm going to do it as a trial. And remember, this is just a sample app. It's not something you would actually commercially acquire. Now it says, well, I want to make sure you really have the right to get this, so I'm going to make you enter that code again. Oops. Okay, now they're getting the solution. It's been added to the team site that I selected earlier through the picker. And now I'm going to return back to the site where it's located. And there's my recently added Contoso Appointment Scheduler app, or add-in. This is a SharePoint solution. Again, and it's really vaporware. The point is it has a whole bunch of tips and tricks that developers can use to increase engagement with their solution. So if you want to acquire it through GitHub, it is already published in GitHub as well. Under the training rubric for Office Dev. But if you do it that way, you have to create a fake license so that the store recognizes that you have the right to use it. Since we're acquiring it through the store motion, that's already taken care of. And so here's the first thing this best practices solution does. It tries to gather some customization, some personal information from the user as they begin to acquire the trial, and it asks for it. So it says, hey, which industry vertical are you in, for example? And that way we can tailor the demo or tailor the trial to your particular interest. We can also populate it with some sample data. So these are all techniques that you can copy just by copying the JavaScript in this best practices solution. Then it asks you to register your email address. Now, some of our larger ISVs already do this. They essentially require you to submit your email before they let you use the trial. Here we're taking a gentler approach, and we're saying, we would love if you were to be willing to provide an email address. And as a sweetener, we'll provide you something like a best practices. This is to the customer now, a set of tips and tricks on how to use our solution, or a coupon for 10% off, whatever you think would be appropriate. And so I'm going to say, OK, that sounds reasonable. So I'm just going to enter just a sample email address. And then the next thing it does, it pops a video. So right away, it's trying to educate you about what the solution does. OK, and so I go get started. And now it takes me to the body of the solution. So again, I know this thing doesn't look particularly impressive. It's just meant to illustrate techniques. It's not a solution that's actually for sale. So the first thing is, let's say I want to create a calendar event. And if you notice, if you look at the entries in the calendar, this is an appointment scheduler solution. It has all sorts of medical references in it, because I chose that I'm a member of the medical community. So I'm going to say, well, my appointment is all about cut and sew. Oops. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to create another appointment here, which is open and close. Okay, now you see, as soon as it does that, now that I've done a couple things in the solution, it pops an email form saying, hey, would you like to submit some feedback for this solution? And the reason why that's really important strategically is many people, as they begin to use a brand new solution that they're not familiar with, they're going to be maybe confused or cranky. That's not the time you want them to be submitting a review, because they might have figured everything out 5 minutes later, but now you have this bad review on your store site, so that's not a very pleasant experience. Here's a way to bleed off some questions, some complaints, and definitely some valid feedback that you definitely want to get as a developer, but you don't want them to be embedded in a permanent review on the page. So that's one trick you can do to reduce that impact. If they do want to submit a review, you want to put that review button prominently in the page, because people do like to go and look at solutions that have a lot of reviews associated with them. If you want to purchase it, well, you definitely don't want to make it hard for them to purchase that solution, so you click, you have a button so that they can purchase the solution. Okay. If you want, again, a tutorial, you can pop a video. If you want testimonials, if someone has actually done a video about you and put it into this site, the betterwithoffice.com, you can link to that. So there's a number of tools and tricks you can use to really engage the user. And then, of course, in terms of core functionality, you can do things like expose partial functionality. Now, we do definitely require that if you have a trial or a free solution in the store, it needs to be substantially similar to the final product. And so it can't be so dumbed down that it doesn't do anything. But you can do things like, for example, doesn't want to load. Come on. Okay, well, that's sticking. All right, well, it's, for some reason, it doesn't want to pop. But the idea is, here we go. Now, okay, that was it. That was a user error. All right. This is a case where you might allow someone to store 10 emails from a customer, but not 100 or 1,000. So you would expose this as a partial set of functionality. Or you would simply say, look, this is a premium feature. We have a video to explain what it does. But if you want this feature, you have to upgrade to the paid version. So there's a number of things you can do to engage the user. The key point is, the most important thing is to get that first email contact address, and you'll see in just a minute how important that is, because we now have another program to help take those email addresses and turn that into an outbound campaign. So we showed three things there. We showed the preview in the store, we showed the best practices solution, which again is available in the store and in GitHub, and we also showed the streamlined acquisition flow. Okay. So the next investment on the engagement side is what we call web bridges or streamlined acquisition. And we just, as you saw, we're able to do that with a SharePoint app. We now also have the same functionality in Outlook. So this is a button we've released, and it's just nothing special. It's just a JPEG of download from the Office store. This is a button that you can use in your own site. And you can embed a URL just by right-clicking and pointing to your application. But what you can do with that now is you can point to the application you have in the store. This is in Sightly. And if you click Add, as you can see, this also has a streamlined acquisition flow. So you click Continue. It takes you, wow, it keeps wanting me to log in. Okay. Oops. Okay, so it's retrieving the information. Here's the consent. It says, yes, this is what this solution will do. I agree that I will give it permissions to my application or to my data. And now you've added an app for Outlook. And so if I go back to the Office store, what's going on here? Okay, now I've lost my way. Here we go. Oh, that's not it. Sorry about this. Okay. Okay, so if I go to my mail, and I click on an email, you can see there is the Insightly solution ready to run. So if I had contacts in my email, I could pull it out of there and tuck it into my Insightly application. So that is another thing we're releasing, is the ability to do a streamlined acquisition of of email applications. Okay. So, trial futures. The next investment we're going to be making is adding more embedded video on the add-in pages so that not only do you don't have to link out to a video, you can actually have embedded video in in your listing, as well as streamline reviews. Right now, to submit a numerical rating to an application in the store, you need to also write a review. We're eliminating that requirement. We're also going to aggregate all the numerical ratings from all the storefronts around the world. Right now, they're siloed to Spain, France, Germany, whatever, depending on where that application ran. And we're going to push the reviews to the top of the page. Because, again, we know reviews are extremely powerful in driving people's interest in trying out an application. So that's coming again in the next few months. Okay, engagement, our third level of investment. And really today we're focusing on the first three layers. I'll talk a bit about the last two, but most of the focus is on the first three. The next thing we want to show you is our Drip email campaign. And essentially, if you join the developer program outside, you get a free one-year subscription to Drip. There's many other options. There's MailChimp and there's Marketo. There's a number of high-end email campaign engines out there. This one is it's inexpensive, it's easy to use, and what it lets you do is automate your outbound communications to your customers. And so again, if you've harvested some emails from people who have opted in to say, yes, you can communicate with me during the trial or during my free version of the service, you can then package that up and turn it into a set of programmatic outbound communications on days 1, 3, 5, whatever. And so I can just quickly show you what that looks like. So this is the GetDrip application. Oops. And what I'm going to do is start a new campaign. And what I'm doing is I'm pointing the Drip application at a website or an add-in that I've written so that I can begin to use that and begin to communicate with my users. So I'm going to just say, it's going to be, say, newcampaign.com. And this is my website or my application. And then I create an account. Whoops. Okay. Okay. So this is it's a 4-click setup for doing a campaign. If you want to harvest drive-by users of your website, you go here. If you instead have a subscription kind of thing, like a solution in the store, you would come here. So I'm going to select this track. Yes, it's a subscription service. No, I don't use this commerce engine, but I do have a trial. Now that you get to this page, you set up your account. And all you really do is you just take a little bit of JavaScript in the Drip campaign engine, and you paste it into either your website, each page of your website, or each page of your application. And essentially then it knows when people show up into your solution what they're doing in the site. And then there's one other step that for me to do, I would actually paste it into a website. So I'm going to just count that as complete. And I'm going to show you how these campaigns look. I'm going to take you to a campaign that I've built a little bit of information into earlier. It's this one. And so, for instance, what you can do is if someone were to start a trial, you can schedule a templated outbound communication like this, a trial follow-up. Thank you for subscribing to the GymApps add-in. Please provide your email address and your identity. So similar to what's in the best practices solution, but here it's actually baked into the GetDrip campaign engine. You also can schedule all sorts of rules. You can customize the forms. You can do many, many things. You can also have outbound emails that are scheduled, as I said before. So there's quite a bit you can do with this solution. And so if you are a developer, there's really only two things you need to do. Sign up for an account, and then paste in a little bit of JavaScript. And then you also have to create an API call, and that's what would link the user email addresses into the Drip campaign engine. And again, you can schedule them anytime you want. So the next thing on engagement is licensed add-ins will be more prominent in the Office ribbon. Now, before we have a store button within the ribbon, so that's pre-acquisition. Post-acquisition, this will be quite powerful. You will be able to actually stipulate that your add-in, when someone launches it, will pop its own custom ribbon tab in the client, whether it's Outlook. It's going to start with Outlook, and it'll move quickly to Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And what that means is instead of having a single only button for, let's say, DocuSign, you could have 7 or 8 commands for a single DocuSign application. So you have a whole toolbar at your disposal to load into your application. And so people who really use something like DocuSign or Insightly heavily, they'll see all the major commands they want to use right there at their disposal in the ribbon, which really begins to make add-ins a first-class citizen. That's going to, again, be starting with Outlook 16 Desktop, and then we'll add it to the other clients like the Click to Run, the Desktop, and then Office Online. Right now, you'll specify these add-in tools via the manifest that you write, but eventually there will be an API to do that. And the last thing on the engagement I wanted to show you is templates. And templates have been around Office for a long, long time. They're really more consumery kind of things, like you want to write a nice card for grandma, and you can park your data into a Word template and dress it up, and there'll be a little ribbon or some kind of an icon in it. But we're now using templates actually to help explain and demo add-ins in real time. And so you can do things like have sample data that will be stuffed in. You can showcase features. You can also test, and right now we're testing the impact of this program, and we'll tweak it based on your feedback. So, quick demo of this. Okay. So this is, again, this is not publicly available yet, but you'll see a demo button right next to the add button. You simply click it, and what happens is it takes you to the online version of Office. It's going to make me sign in again. This again is a cookies issue because this is all in preview. Okay. All right. Okay, and what it does is it saves the template to your OneDrive. So you have free OneDrive and free Office online. And what this template does is, so imagine you're a visitor coming to the store. You're not quite sure what this application does. You're not sure why you'd want to use it. You can store sample data like this Excel Online form does, and then basically populate and pop out a chart or a graph. Other people have used it to essentially call out every bit of functionality in the application. So it's sort of a static demo. And then if you want to actually acquire it, you just say you want to go back to the store. And there it is. The demo is no longer there. So this template functionality is free for the user because you're using free OneDrive and free Office Online. And the great thing is once you've acquired the template, you can then license it right through the template motion, and then that application will work on your full-fledged Office 365 version of Office as well. So you get to try it using our free tools and then install it on our paid tools. And then finally, in terms of engagement features, we have a whole team of global, worldwide developer platform evangelists, now called the DX, Developer Engagement Community. And they essentially are out beating the bushes, recruiting partners to build more solutions for our store. And they have a fair amount of money from the Office team to do so. This year, it's not enough for them to sign new people. They also have to make sure that they have adoption and usage. So they're actually taking a metric against their performance evaluation to say, hey, it's not enough you land someone. You have to make sure that it's actually being used by your customers. So that's quite a sea change in levels of responsibility, and we think that's going to really, again, motivate a whole lot of people to start caring about getting engagement and usage, not just recruiting a bunch of new folks for the store. And then finally, a personal goal of mine is making the store more interactive, enabling developers to respond to reviews and explain complaints, to have online forums, to have discussion and chat kinds of things embedded in the store, so that user communities can actually help each other make recommendations on what solution worked really well for you or what didn't. And then the last rung in the ladder here is purchase and loyalty. We, frankly, this is a later term investment, but it's definitely on the roadmap. This is the hardest thing to do because all the stores currently are architected on a consumer platform, starting with the Windows and phone stores. We're all moving to a commercial platform. We're going to consolidate all the back ends. We're going to wire it up to commercial APIs. We're going to have a single catalog. And when we get there, which will probably be late in 2015, the goal is to then turn on a whole bunch of commercial-enabled things like couponing and promo codes, and also enable resellers to come in, acquire third-party solutions in bulk, and sell them at volume and bundle it with 365 and sell it on a single piece of paper on a single invoice. That's really when the B2B space gets serious because they're now being sold just like our own first-party stuff. But again, to be perfectly transparent, there's a lot of work on the engineering back end that has to occur before that's going to happen. Better usage analytics, it's another area that's under a lot of investment. And then bundles, so that we have all these great solutions, and some of them are starting to work together. Like I went to an AvePoint presentation yesterday. They integrate with, for example, with DocuSign. And so they're starting to see informal partnerships emerge from some of our leading players. We want to formalize that approach so that you can buy a basket, like a small business starter kit, an HR solution, a time-off solution, a finance solution, a billing solution. So you can begin to bundle these together and actually get a small business starter kit or an EDU starter kit. And we're not there yet, but those are all things that are on the roadmap. So call to action for developers. And again, I know it's not everybody in the room. Update your manifest, build a web app to tie to Office 365, localize your add-in. And again, I apologize that demo didn't work. And nominate your add-in for App Awards. For trial, look at embedding direct links into your solution so you can begin to engage your customers and do email campaigns. And then engagement, definitely look at the add-in command so you can have a whole toolbar across the ribbon, and use templates to explain what your solution does. So these are all tools and equipment that your team can, that your developer folks can use. And then finally, of course, if you are a developer, engage with us, Office 365 for questions and comments, user voice for feature requests, and we also have podcasts to hear interviews with major engineers and third-party MVPs with Office. And again, thanks for your patience. I had some technical difficulties all the way to the beginning of the session, which made things a little rushed, but I do appreciate your time, and I hope you're right in evaluation. It helps me out and helps other folks out too. And so we have some time left, and if anyone has questions or wants to talk to Joanna, I'd be happy to take questions if you have questions about the future of the store, where it fits in to the overall strategy. No questions? Okay. Well, then I guess we're done. So I'll thank you for your time and your attention. Yeah.